All right, we're just 9 days away from Election Day. Candidates across the country are making their final pitches to voters. One longtime politician noticeably not on the ballot this cycle is the outgoing Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. Now, if you recall, she lost her primary race for Wyoming's only seat in the House of Representatives, which she'd held since 2017, after she called out Donald Trump and his supporters for perpetuating the big lie and for inciting the deadly riot at the Capitol on January 6th. But while she is not on the ballot herself, she's continuing her pro-democracy fight and, in fact, bringing it right here to Arizona. Starting on Friday, Cheney's appeared in political ads in Arizona targeting the state's top election denier candidates, including Kari Lake and Mark Finchem. Cheney's brand of politics reminds some people here in Arizona of the late John McCain, who's also widely remembered as a patriot and a staunch conservative, but a man of integrity who was a Trump critic until his death in 2018. In my conversation with Arizona voters, I asked them about Cheney's plight and whether her actions speak to them as Arizonans.
She wants to save the republic. She is putting country first, and which is different than putting America first. And I know that that's maybe a distinction without a difference, but to me it's different. Country first means you're putting the greater good before anything. America first, when I hear that, I think I'm going to cut in the front of the line and gimme, and I want, we're better than everybody. And that's not how I think Liz Cheney's viewing this. I think she is trying to save the republic first before she even thinks about her party. That's very much abandoned her when she stood up to lies and disinformation that is pulling at the fabric of the country.
She's trying to keep the integrity of the party and of the republic
Yes.
a little bit before the ideology.
Yes.
Yes, and because she's not losing what she's believed in before,
Right.
And she stands by what she said. It's just
Right.
a matter of, hey, these are people that are tearing at strings, going completely out of what the party is supposed to be based in. I'm a Democrat, so my thing is seeing her literally say, hey, yo, Republicans, we stand together and we want to make sure that the integrity of not only our party, but our nation stays intact. I am not your enemy. You are not mine. And it's a matter of, hey, let's work together. At the end of the day, the big goal is to contain democracy.
Right.
And it's just a matter of how we go about it. So the fact that she's helping other Arizonans kind of come to that conclusion is what I think is marvelous and showing you,
it's quite
dynamics of how intricate politics can be.
It's also very telling about the fact that she believes that in this moment, Arizona is so central to the preservation of democracy that she's spending time in this state or talking about this state.
I also want to speak to the point that we're in as a country, where, like you said, where there are Republicans who are speaking about this egregious motion that took place on January 6th. This isn't just an isolated event. In Washington, D.C. You have our own versions that took place here in 2020. You have that rhetoric that seeps into our political structure here. And you have candidates that are riding on that fraudulent, election denier campaign points. And, just fear and fraudulence that they're tapping into and sensationalism that they're tapping into in order to scare people and galvanize votes should be a cause for concern. When you do speak to someone who is quintessentially conservative and Republican speaking out about these issues, that should, like you said, that should be a startling moment for people. Really at the end of the day, it comes down to accountability. The bare minimum is accountability. If you're doing something that can potentially destabilize our country, that needs to be brought front and center, and that needs to be something that should be considered a disqualifying stance, because you are undermining our constitutional rights to vote.
It should be considered a disqualifying stance, except a lot of these people will win across the country.
The thing about Liz Cheney, too, is she's actually seen the evidence.
Yes.
She's been in the meetings. And
she's in the room where it happened.
I have a little experience with that. I've sat in more committee hearings than most people, and when you know the information, and it scares you that much. I mean,
to lose your party's nomination.
I know Dick Cheney. Yeah. Dick Cheney is a conservative Republican who probably never voted for a Democrat. I mean, he's from Wyoming, and the idea that she's doing ads right now is startling. And you heard my other Republican friends say what that motivates them is protecting our way of life, our democracy, our republic. You know what motivates me to vote in this election? It's really to send my Republican Party a message that says, you guys need to straighten up and think about and be a big tent, like Ronald Reagan said, and not be the little tent, the tiny, tiny pup tent that they want to. If you're not ideologically pure, if you don't believe that we have all the right answers, then you're out. Come on. None of us have all the right answers. None of us do. And so what motivates me to vote in this election is sending my party a message. You do this, you're going to lose.
Few of you have got an association with John McCain, right? How many people here have had? 3 of you? You? Okay. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, there are people who saw qualities in John McCain, particularly in his last years through his presidential run. Some people didn't like a lot of things that he did, but they felt that he upheld the standards of politics that we maybe don't see today. Tell me a little about that.
Here was the beauty of John McCain. He was a disciple of democracy. Whether you agreed with him or not, didn't matter. It was more about being a disciple of, is it a system that is accessible to people? Are they able to share their political opinions and be vociferous about it and argue the great debate and concepts of our time and stand up and say this experiment is beautiful? It's an experiment, and he treated it like a holy experiment.
One that fails sometimes.
One that fails sometimes, but it was a holy experiment for him. And really, it was beyond agreement or disagreement. It was about civility. It was about the great debate. He loved the debate. Everybody has seen it. But it was about the great debate so that with the diversity of perspective and ideas, somehow that leads us to solutions, right? And so I think in the marathon of life, yes, he left an indelible mark. I'm proud to have been a little teeny part of that. But very, very proud of trying to preserve this experiment we call democracy.